Hi everybody, hope you all are doing well. Welcome to today's video. It's a very exciting video because it's the first video that I'm doing for the month of Ramadan. Ramadan Mubarak to all of my fellow Muslims out there. I'm going to be giving you some Ramadan recommendations. So I'm recommending 4 young adult novels that I read within the past 5 or 6 months or so that I really loved and that I think would be perfect for you to read during Ramadan, but also perfect gifts for you to give your family members for Eid. Or if you just want to read books about Muslims by Muslims, keep watching. So last year I did something similar to this. I recommended a few books by Muslim authors that I had read up to that point, and I'm kind of doing the same thing this time around. These are books that I have talked about quite a bit over the past couple of months, so this video might seem a little bit redundant, but I'm still doing it for the purpose of anybody looking for recommendation videos for books by and about Muslims. Anyways, let's get into the tea. I feel like the whole tea thing is getting kind of corny at this point, but we'll just keep going with it. The first book that I would like to recommend is A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahira Mafi. This is a YA contemporary novel that I read back in December, and it was my favorite book of 2018. It was that good. The book takes place the year after 9/11, and it's about an Iranian-American Muslim girl named Shireen. She wears the hijab, and she's living in a small town, and she's going to a school that is very conservative and that is very patriotic and all that kind of stuff. Naturally, after 9/11 happened, bodies like hers definitely a site for Islamophobia, racism, and xenophobia that was very much prevalent at that time, and that still continues to be prevalent till this day. So we're looking at Shireen as she's experiencing all of this in the context of a high school romance. She meets this boy called Ocean. He's a white boy, he's very all-American, he's kind of like perfect, and she really likes him, and he really likes her, but when they try to get together, they face a lot of opposition from the people around them. Now, going into this book, I was a bit nervous because I thought, was this going to be a story where the romance kind of co-opts the message and it becomes all about her falling in love with this white boy, and it's okay to be with a white boy and in an interrelational relationship and all that kind of jazz. But it's not, because what this book does is that it addresses throughout the story Islamophobia, racism, xenophobia, American patriotism, and how American patriotism is very exclusive, especially, given the time frame that this story is set in. But it does so within the context of the romance. I like to say that Mafi used the template of, kind of like high school drama, high school romance, YA contemporary novel, and used that as a canvas to paint a story about Islamophobia and patriotism in the United States. To me, the boyfriend in this book, Ocean, kind of functioned in a way as an allegory for America. And Shireen, as the outsider, as someone who is seen as the enemy for nothing more than her faith and her race, is condemned for trying to access Ocean, who is basically America, right? Who is this representation, this pinnacle, who represents the pinnacle, right, of the American citizen. But other than that, it's just a fun story. You're also following her as she copes with this. Breakdancing is a huge element of this story. Our main protagonist is a breakdancer along with her brother. You really see her grow as a person throughout the book. The writing is fantastic. The story itself is just really engaging, and also just has wonderful characters. I really loved our main protagonist as a person. I loved her brother. I was really interested in her love interest, the guy Ocean, and I also really liked her parents as well. So definitely give this book a try. It's fantastic, it's wonderful, it's better than your fave. Everything that I like is better than your fave. That's just something that we need to come to terms with on this channel here, y'all. The next book that I have to talk about is one that I talked about earlier this year in my first wrap-up, and that is The Love and Lives of Rukhsana Ali by Sabina Khan. This book is really special to me because it's the first book that I've ever read about a queer Muslim. This is about a young Bangladeshi American Muslim girl named Rukhsana. She's in a relationship with this girl named Ariana, whom she loves to death. But her very conservative Muslim Bengali parents have very strict and tight expectations of her, so when they end up finding out that she's with a girl, all hell breaks loose. And to make matters a little bit more complicated, they had a family emergency and they had to fly back to Bangladesh, and all of the problems that would have ensued in America ends up happening in Bangladesh. I didn't even know that the story was going to be set in Bangladesh for such a prolonged amount of time. Most of it is set over there, and it's such a harrowing and dark read. There's violence, there's homophobia, there's a lot of dark things going on in here, as I said, so definitely be cautious of it before going into it. What I loved about this story is that it showed a young Muslim girl who's queer and who does not question her queerness. She's very much affirmed in who she is. And her journey throughout this story was not a journey of should I repress this? Should I try to conform? Should I try to be straight? Her journey was, I need to get out of this situation because I know who I am, and I'm going to live the life that I want to live, and I don't care what constraints are placed upon me. I will fight for who I am, and I will fight for the life that I want to live. And I really, really appreciated that about this book. I appreciated this main character. I adored her so much. She's my precious little baby. And I really love the family dynamic. Now, you're going to hate the parents in this book for obvious reasons, but as you read it, you get to empathize with them a little bit more. Not necessarily empathize with how they feel about their daughter, but empathize with them in the sense that you understand why they are the way they are. And they also grow throughout the story, and it was really a powerful thing to see that growth. While this is definitely a very tragic and sad novel, it is also extremely hopeful and necessary. Very, very necessary. Next up, I have to talk about Internment by Samira Ahmed. I talked about this in my recent wrap-up video, so definitely go watch that if you want to hear my thoughts in more detail. This is a dystopian story that's really, really scary. It's set in a near-future America wherein Muslims are now being put into internment camps. Our main protagonist is Layla, and Layla is an Indian-American Muslim girl. She and her parents are put in the internment camps, and we get a really, really interesting story about this young girl who seems to be one of the only people there willing to try to transgress what's going on, willing to try to stand up and rebel. The first thing that this book does is that it shows us that the contemporary experience and the dystopian experience are not mutually exclusive whatsoever. They are not. In fact, what's happening in this book is actually happening in Western China right now. I will link a video from Vox that is absolutely mortifying and terrifying, because I watched that video after I read this book. And when I watched that video, I realized, holy shit, exactly what's happening in this book. Exactly what I pictured everything to look like in this book is happening in China. It's like if you read the Hunger Games and then after you find out that there's an actual Hunger Games going on somewhere else in the world. That's how freaking scary this story is. As I said in my review for it, if the current sentiments of Islamophobia and xenophobia and racism that currently exist in the United States, if they continue to be nurtured, something like this might not necessarily happen, but if it does happen, God forbid, it could potentially be justified by ideologies that already exist. And that's my baby nephew crying. He understands. He understands the implications of Islamophobia. It's making him very emotional. Hey, shut up! Bad baby! Bad baby! It reads as a call to action. She's trying to tell us that we need to resist, we need to stand up, we need to mobilize our allies, we need to do something. We can't just remain silent, and we can't just be complicit in the oppressions that are trying to keep us that way, you know? So definitely give this one a read. It is fantastic. And then finally, all of those books were really, really harrowing and dark and deep and all these different sort of things. So I think that this one could be potentially a little bit more refreshing, and that is Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. I love this book so much, y'all. Simon & Schuster sent me an ARC, and they also sent me this final copy, and I also pre-ordered another copy, so I might be doing a little giveaway. I'll talk about that in a second though. So this is a beautiful YA contemporary that I often struggle to summarize because there's so many things going on in here. Basically, all you need to know is that it's about a boy called Adam and a girl called Zainab, and they both meet on a flight to Doha, Qatar. They're respectively from Canada and America, but Adam has been living in Qatar for quite some time, and Zainab has an aunt working there who she goes to stay by. And they cultivate this really gorgeous relationship while they are spending time in this beautiful city together. But more importantly, the story isn't really just about their romance. It's a story about the two of them. It's a story about their own lives, their own griefs, their own struggles. It looks at how these two separate stories both intersect and inform the relationship that they end up developing in the book. The last few books were really, really tough, as I said, and this one I think is a good break from that. If you're looking for something that isn't about like all these serious topics and sad things, this is definitely one that you want to read. It does address grief and illness and all that kind of stuff. It does touch on Islamophobia a lot throughout the book as well, and discrimination, don't get me wrong, but those are not the core tenets of the story. The story is really empowering because it's about these two characters handling their situations, not just being victims, not just being subject to fundamentalism or racism or xenophobia, any of those things. It's really just about the two of them growing, finding who they are, and learning to understand themselves more through understanding each other. It's a wonderful story, y'all. Please, please, please read it. It recently came out, and it's definitely one that you will want to put on your Ramadan wish list, sis. Now, as I said, I was talking about a giveaway earlier, so listen. I pre-ordered another copy of Love from A to Z to give away, and I also bought a copy of A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahana Mafi, right? And this actually comes with a really cute story. I went and I picked this up in the bookstore, right? And then I looked back and I saw that there was one more copy, and a Muslim girl in a hijab was looking at it, and I don't think she read the back of it, so I don't think she knows knows that it was like a Muslim story, so she kind of put it back, and I went up to her real quick and I was like, hey, that book real good. That book real good. That was a real good book you pick up there. She almost had a heart attack. She was like, because I don't think she was expecting anybody to just come out of nowhere and tell she to go back and pick up the book that she was reading. Anyways, I walked away and I was getting ready to go in line to cash out my copy that I bought, and I saw her again and she had a copy of the book in her hand, so she picked it up, and I assumed she would have eventually bought it, and I'm so happy for that because she looked a little bit younger. Like, she looked like she's probably like 14, 15, 16. It just touched my heart because I know that when I was that age I would have never found a story here in Trinidad, right, about a Muslim like that, like we do today. It really makes me happy to know that the younger generations are coming up in a time where these books are coming out, right? They're coming out and they're ready for you. They're ready for the girls. They're ready to be on your wish lists. They're ready to be on your TBR. They are on your shelves at the bookstores and the libraries, and they are there for you to read them. And it makes me so incredibly happy to know that that is becoming more and more popular. Anyways, my gushing aside, so I will be doing a giveaway for both of these books. This is not the official announcement for the giveaway, so you can't enter as yet. The reason why I'm telling you about it is because I kind of wanted y'all advice on something. These are both young adult books, right? But I'm not sure if I'm comfortable doing a giveaway to teenagers, to people under the age of 18, just because I have no way of knowing that you have consent from your parents to give your address, to receive something from some stranger from another country. I don't know how I feel about doing the giveaway to young adults, but at the same time, these are both books that are written for young adults. So is that kind of hypocritical of me to do a giveaway of 2 young adult books but then tell young adults that they can't enter the giveaway? Let me know in the comments down below what you think about that. We can have a little chat about the ethics behind that. I wanted to throw that out to you before I go ahead and do the giveaway, and before somebody on Twitter writes a whole thread about me excluding young adults from reading young adult books or something like that. You know, somebody always has something to complain about on Twitter every 2 days. I don't want to be that something. So thank you all so much for watching this video. If you haven't as yet picked up any of these books, please do. I hope I managed to convince you. As I said, if you want to buy these books for Eid, for your friends or for your family or for your siblings or whatever, definitely go ahead and do that. They will appreciate it, okay? And if you've already read any of these books and you have any thoughts to share on them in the comments down below, please do. So with all of that being said, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. I hope you have a lovely, lovely Ramadan. And until next time, inshallah, keep reading.